Something that really needs to be talked about with chronic fatigue is the acceptance of the illness. And this can be your child's acceptance, parents and siblings' acceptance, and friends and family's acceptance, and it's a massive subject. So I think probably the best place to start would be with myself and my husband's experience of accepting the illness. I think, like I said before, I'd done quite a lot of research on chronic fatigue before we actually went to the hospital to get the official diagnosis. So I was much further down the line with understanding the illness than my husband was. And when it came to talking to him and telling him that my son had been diagnosed with suffering from chronic fatigue, he just wouldn't accept it. That was his way of coping, to deny. And he said afterwards that he just obviously loves his children so much that he just couldn't accept that something was hurting them. But that made it really difficult for me, because that meant that I was dealing with everything. And every time I tried to talk to him about it, we'd end up arguing because he wouldn't accept it. He just kept saying, no, that's not the case, no, that's rubbish, CFS doesn't exist. And we talked about it afterwards, and he said he knew that it did, but his mind just wouldn't accept it. He just wanted to close it all out and deny it. But that meant it was all on my shoulders, and it made it really difficult. And for about 2 years, I did everything, all the hospital appointments, all the school letters, all the communication, sorting out everything, even all the kind of mental and physical support that my son needed. Because in the very beginning I couldn't talk to my husband about it, I then just shut him out, and I just thought, well, what's the point of talking to you about it? We're just going to end up having an argument anyway. So even when further down the line he was accepting of the fact that our son was ill, I just closed him out, and I just thought, I'll do all this on my own. So I would say along those lines, it's really important that as a family you do accept the illness, and that can involve having support, professional help. I remember saying to my husband, I thought that my biggest battles would be with school or with the hospital, and I seriously did not think that my biggest battle would be with you. And that really kind of surprised me, that that's where the resistance at that point had come from. There is lots of support out there. There's a really good website called AYME, some people call it AME, which is Association of Young People with ME. Fantastic. There's forums on there for your child to go on. There's things that as an adult you can read, and very, very supportive. So yes, you are going to have to accept that your child is ill, because it will be life changing. I think I cried every single day for about a year. Sometimes now I still do cry, and you're wanting to be strong in front of your child. So every time that I was on my own, be it that I was driving, at work, walking, anywhere, I was just in floods of tears, because it's this acceptance, this knowledge that your child is ill. The way that I described it is that it's the best and worst news you'll ever have. It's the best news because you've probably spent quite a long time realising that your child's poorly, and you don't really know what they're suffering from. So when you're told that it's chronic fatigue, that's really good news, because it's not something awful or terminal, and my heart goes out to the people that receive that news. But for you and for me, it was the worst news, because nobody knows where chronic fatigue comes from, can't really treat it, and nobody knows when it'll end. And that's why it was the worst news. So in the next videos I will talk about how you can help your child to accept their condition, and then moving on to how you can get your friends and your family and school to accept their condition. So I hope that was helpful, and have a look at my other videos, because they all will tie in together, and there'll be like a crossover of information in all of them. So good luck, and I will speak to you soon.